Hi everyone, this is Bilal. It is November 25th, and here's the top AI news for today. Yesterday, Anthropic launched its latest model named Opus 4.5. It's supposed to be the best coding model out there. That's what they're claiming. They scored a 80% on the SWE-bench Verified benchmark. And just to give a reference, GPT 5.1 Codex Max, which launched earlier this week, it scored 77. So Claude has been coming up with the best coding model. So this was expected. To get this improvement, just like how Codex Max mentioned they're using compaction, Opus is also using some sort of a context compression, and they've been able to use less thinking tokens to achieve the same amount of performance. So just to give a reference, they're able to match the performance of their last model, Sonnet 4.5, with 76% fewer tokens. So that's a huge jump. They've also introduced a very interesting like a feature called tool search. So previously, when your agent had access to different tools, like tools could be a tool that can calculate math problems, a tool that could talk to Gmail, etc. All of that was loaded into the context when you ran your model. Now what they've done is they have introduced a tool search feature. So what happens is when it needs to run a specific tool, it loads that tool at runtime, and that they've been able to use that to improve the way they're using their context window. And finally, they're claiming that this model is safer compared to other models from things like prompt injection. Right, moving on to OpenAI, they have launched a shopping research feature in ChatGPT. If you give it a shot, it first asks you what type of different features do you want in your product that you're looking for, and then gives you different suggestions that you can say not interested, interested, and kind of it gives you a good recommendation at the end. I think it's going to take some while to get there. I still think this is a big opportunity for them. If anybody can figure out shopping, they can capture a lot of the market. So I think this is going to be key. Moving on to Meta. Meta is in talks with Google to start using its TPUs for Meta's use. So TPUs are tensor processing units, which is specialized hardware that is developed by Google, and it's used for machine learning and AI workloads. TPUs are kind of a competition to Nvidia's GPUs, and this news has caused Nvidia's stock to decline by 4%. Meta plans on spending around like $1 billion or so on these TPUs in the next couple of years, and it wants to start using these TPUs in its own data centers. And they're looking at renting TPUs as early as next year from Google. This is interesting because so far Google has been using TPUs for its internal use only. So this is going to be the first time where an external company is going to be using them, right? Similarly, Meta has been building a data center in Louisiana, which is going to cost around $27 billion. They've been extremely creative with their accounting, and they've financed this using debt. But that debt and neither the data center will show up on their balance sheet, which will keep their credit rating high. And the way they've done this is by moving this project into a joint venture with a holding company called Blue Owl Capital. And I believe Meta only has 20% of ownership into that. The only way this is possible is if they can prove that they don't have power to direct the activities of the joint venture, and they can also prove that they do not have the obligation to absorb the losses of the joint venture, which is they'll have to be creative to prove both of these points. Yesterday, I mentioned OpenAI has been poaching talent from Apple, specifically from like their hardware teams. Sam Altman and Johnny Ives, I think they've mentioned that a prototype is actually ready. It's going to be a screen-free device as small as a smartphone. So, and they plan on launching it in 2 years. So let's see what it's going to be. I think it's going to be an always-on listening device, which will give you either through a headset, I don't know, instructions or a question you can ask. We'll see. We'll see what it could be. But 2 years is it's quite far. I expected something to be out earlier. All right. Moving to China, there was a vibe coding application that was launched, I think last week, called Lingwang by the Ant Group. Ant Group is an affiliate of the Alibaba Group, and it hit 1 million downloads in 4 days, which was faster than ChatGPT and Sora. But it did buckle in the heavy traffic. So again, we know that China is going to be a huge market. Gemini, and Claude and ChatGPT can't serve their models to China. So China is going to be a huge market for Alibaba and companies alike. All right. AWS Bedrock faced capacity constraints this summer. Bedrock basically provides access to foundational models within the AWS services. So you can use things like you can use Claude and Llama within your AWS environment. And because of this capacity constraint, Epic Games moved a $10 million Fortnite project to Google Cloud after AWS failed to give them the right amount of quota that they wanted. All right. Final news. OpenAI has been ordered to drop using the word cameo in their Sora app because it's already trademarked by another platform. And there is a temporary restraining order that will block that use until December 19th. After which, I think there's going to be an official ruling on this. All right. That was the update for today. Thank you. See you tomorrow.